There are people that when they hear the dirty word of harem or quintessential quintuplets, they get this vision in their heads of some show that has a lot of fan service, poor character development, and just excuse after excuse to just show a bunch of twins and scenarios likely won't ever happen to the average person. But there stands at the top one harem series that avoids all of that, and it is Quintessential Quintuplets. It's an anime and series that with season 2 well underway, you should heavily consider watching it, as it's consistently one of the best written anime this season. And this sequel is nearly everything I've wanted from a QQ anime to begin with, let alone in a season 2. But before we get into the video, 90% of people watching my content are unsubscribed. Well, if you haven't, you should. That's it. Let's get into the video. So to start off this video, I think it's important to lay out what Quintessential Quintuplets was in its first season and its flaws, as season 2 aims to rectify and demolish every single one of them. The first being is the visual art direction, which was not very good in season 1. Often the colors felt a bit flat, the textures of hair seemed blobby, and the character designs themselves really just seemed like it wasn't right at all, with minor details like hair and eye colors being changed or just plain out wrong from the very beginning. This is mostly because of a producer direction, but Tezuka Productions handled the animation for the first season, and I can say it was, from a visual perspective, very disappointing. A manga that I consider to have way better art than you think it would, with volume covers that are truly beautiful pieces of art and panels that surprise and pop with detail that gets you immersed into the characters of QQ. Season 1 completely failed in that regard. And another failure, besides that, was the whole Waifu Wars moniker that got unrightly slapped onto the series. In my opinion, QQ isn't about which quintuplet do you like the most or which one will win in the end. QQ was about two things, and that's character and comedy. Simple as that. And while QQ does add drama into that fold, it's never what you expect. The beauty of QQ, and I realize I'm saying that a lot, is very simple. It's likable and very accessible. So this gets us into season 2. Right off the bat, Tezuka Productions is just out of the mix completely, and into the fire, Biburi Animation Studios. A new studio founded in 2017, they worked on the two most recent Grisaya films, and as well, Azur Lane. Needless to say, this studio has put out the opposite of bangers. Maybe the correct word would be tappers? But QQ Season 2 is their first unlikely hit, and with a score of an 8 on Mal, as the saying goes, where there is smoke, there is fire. QQ Season 2 immediately impresses me with its visuals that nearly rival the manga's own insanely rich and detailed character designs. Gone are the incorrect eye colors from Futaro and the myriad of other errors and needless change-ups. Now, the presentation is about 1-to-1 as you can get, at least, and while I do have issues with this adaptation, we'll get to that later in the video, this truly feels like what a QQ anime was meant to be from the very beginning. And that's good. But it doesn't just end at visuals. The first season was very much centered around comedy and cute moments. QQ Season 2 is where the story starts to pick up and becomes a truly standout and must-read manga and now must-watch anime. Yes indeed. A harem anime centered around quintuplets is indeed something you watching this right now should indeed just get out there and watch. Like I stated previously, Season 1 of the show was more in line with expectations. Season 2, on the other hand, is consistently kind of breaking that, with a well-written story, with interweaving character arcs that is actually rather complicated and well-thought-out way to write a story. Let me explain. In Season 2, each character starts to get their own arcs and address issues with them, in particular with Nino, who has trouble accepting Futaro as she's overprotective of her sisters. She is so protective that she actually drugs Futaro. Yes, she commits a crime. But any other series, yeah, that'd probably just end there. Futaro wouldn't care, none of the sisters wouldn't care, except that's just not the case. Because of Nino's treatment of Futaro, the sisters do indeed defend his honor. Miku, as an example, clashes with Nino quite often over the way she acts. And the beautiful thing about this is that Futaro understands where Nino is coming from. And that is a pretty cool trait for Futaro to keep an open mind like that, especially after being drugged. This is something I always loved about Quintessential Quintuplets, is that characters aren't condemned to being this one-note, one character for the whole thing. Nino realizes she's gone way too far, and by the end of her arc, she cuts her long hair, gets over her sibling rivalry with her sisters, moves back in with them, and actually becomes a better character who acts like she's learned a valuable lesson. It's a beautiful moment for Nino, and likely one of the best moments in the whole show. So much so that she became many people's favorite characters after this particular arc concluded. I myself love Nino because of this arc as well, which is impressive because, as I said before, she kind of drugged Futaro. Though, this season involves the introduction of Rina, the mysterious girl from Futaro's childhood, which is so painfully obvious that it's one of the Quints. This story thread signals the more serious shift in tone for QQ that is surprising just as much as it is welcomed. Make no mistakes, QQ has had its drama and serious writing plenty in the past, but Season 2 marks a clear-cut quality difference to essentially become a status of beloved. I can't think of a better word to describe the way QQ becomes a story with amazing characters, and while I've talked about this previously in my last Quintessential Quintuplets video, I think it's a huge achievement for the series. Rina is the childhood friend that Futaro lost, but it still remembers to this day. I'm sure some of you watching now know that feeling of meeting someone in your childhood and then losing them for whatever reason. Futaro is essentially living through that experience once again, and this is where QQ really hits its stride moving forward. Though I do have one issue with this adaptation so far, and that is the fact they are cutting a good amount of content from the source. Now, I've covered recently in my Attack on Titan and Promised Neverland videos the controversies surrounding cut content, but I feel in the case of QQ, while it is annoying, it is something as an anime only, I don't really think is an issue in broader terms. But because of that, things like a date with Yotsuba is pretty much just cut out, and while they could possibly add it back in, the fact that they've already skipped plenty of chapters, to me, suggests this anime is ending this season and we will not be getting a full adaptation from the series. But I really do not think a full adaptation is needed, just because of the fact that they can do something interesting with the series ending. Because that's right, the ending that, in my opinion, people really overreacted to could be changed to fit something both fans on either fence could agree upon. While I do not take issues with the ending too much, because as for me, I feel that QQ is about the journey and experience with the characters rather than which girl wins. I do think a better ending could be in the books, and I do believe that it would be a welcome change from the manga version. But let's be real here, most of this is speculation from the internet and rumors. I would not get your hopes up for a new ending, just for the fact that anime has shown time and time again they'd rather strike while the iron is hot than create a memorable series. If you want to know more about that, you can check out my recent Promised Neverland video and how that is a prime example of Japanese corporate greed playing in the hands. Video on the top right card. But besides all of that, this season of QQ is kind of everything I wanted from a sequel to QQ Season 1. I think to most fans, this is a sentiment that will be shared across the board, whether you're new or old. It's not many anime that make meaningful improvements from season to season. In my opinion, one of the best in that regard is Symphogear, and I have videos on the series. Please check them all out for context on what I mean. Once again, links to those will be in the top right to the full playlist. And with the rumors of QQ's ending being changed to be better than just what they left it as, I can't wait to see what this anime does in its second half. I am so far loving the quality of life improvements like corrected details from hair to eye color, and just in general the amazing art direction from Biburi Animation Studios. So, hats off, and a lot of respect to them, they did pretty good. And if you haven't seen QQ or read the manga yet, you probably should. While the anime does seem to cut out a good handful of content, I have no issues recommending the QQ manga and or anime to literally anyone watching this video. It's a really funny and great read that I think anyone can really enjoy, whether you like harem anime or not. Because, as I've stated previously, the fact that it's a harem anime doesn't mean you should skip out on this one. This series is an outlier, and you should, at the very least, give it a shot. With that being said, thank you all for watching. Check out my previous QQ videos and my Patreon page, as I have my review for the QQ manga, which I will link there in the description below. And hey, please consider becoming a patron to get access to the Kyoani podcast and a brand new season of Anime Friday and so much more, like older legacy content and even scripts to unreleased videos. It's a bunch of neat stuff. Thank you all for watching the video and have a nice day, everyone. Bye-bye.